Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. It's becoming daylight, but it's very humid out there. I mean, wow. It's like a sauna. Like a sauna in southeastern Louisiana, 5:34 a.m., June 24th, 2018. Okay. We have an old brand of Canadian whiskey, Royal Canadian, introduced in 1934, imported from Canada, distilled under the supervision of the Dominion of Canada, it says, bottled in Louisville at Buffalo Trace Distillery, which I toured last year. I also toured Barton Distilling, and one of the barrel houses collapsed Friday. Ooh, I said that might have been the one I was inside of. And they talked about that when I was in there, about how you have to be careful that these things could collapse. There's such weight. One did. There's going to be a lot of people in trouble for that. But anyway, Royal Canadian, introduced 1934, now owned by Sazerac. It went through 4 different ownership changes. These brands tend to do that, get passed around. RC. My daughter and I reviewed it. She didn't like it. And it has this unusual heavy glass bottle. It's like an old-fashioned bottle. I don't know what the story is with that. They're in plastic bottles today. That's an older bottle. She said, well, it doesn't taste bad. There's nothing off about it, like spoiled or rancid or not done right. She just said it was so bland. I said, well, she's used to trying, if it's whiskey, she tries a lot of kind of expensive bourbon with some people she knows. And so to go from that with all those rich corn-based, well, this is corn-based too, but you know what I mean, the barrel heavily charred barrel age, and to go to something so low profile, you would be shocked. And she was shocked, but not in a good way. Now we're going up against Seagram's VO Gold. Put the cap back on just to show you. Still got a lot. They still have a lot of it around here, but it has been discontinued. The company told me that. Clear bottle. The other Seagrams are in brown bottles. Bottled in Canada, distilled in Canada, aged, distilled and bottled in I'll get it in order. Distilled, then aged, then bottled in Canada, aged at least 8 years. The youngest whiskeys in here are 8 years, so there's older ones. But that's how the age statement works anyway. It's always the youngest whiskey if it's a blend. You can't go with the date of the oldest. You know, it could be 12-year age. And here, like that Canadian Club, 12-year aged. The youngest is 12. It could be older. But anyway, introduced in 1998, and VO Gold was discontinued in 2017, so it only lasted 19 years. It's got the cloth ribbon on the neck. Seagram's VO used to have the ribbon. Back, you know, in the early 1900s, mid 1900s. Then they went to this paper ribbon that was kind of like part of the label type thing. They got rid of the nice cloth ribbon, but they brought that for the VO Gold. Well, VO Gold is gone, so if you see it and you want to try it, you better buy it because you're not going to see it. Arthur Peterson, the master blender of Seagram's VO. And it goes on and on, his signature here and a whole bunch of stuff. I know it's discontinued because I didn't see it on the website. So I called the company. Well, I emailed the company. And they did respond. I had to verify my birth date on an email. And then they sent me a second email. Yes, the reason it's not on the website, it was discontinued. I said, oh. So I'll be buying it for sure. It was $22.95, I think, on sale. But it ranges around here, $22.95 to $25.95. Royal Canadian, I bought that 375 milliliter bottle at Ali and Sons for $5 even. no tax. You know what I'm saying? Just $5. The Seagram's Gold I bought at Winn-Dixie, where the price is the price. You know what I mean? You go in there, whatever's on the tag, you pay that. Ali & Sons is one of those variable pricing establishments. They charge different prices for different people, and they talk a bunch of trash. Hold on, let me sip this down a little bit. And they got this big sign: "We do not negotiate on liquor prices." And then they almost immediately began to negotiate on liquor prices with me. So maybe they need to change that, change the sign, except for this guy from another town, because he walked out and wouldn't pay $5.99. That's a funny story. Oh boy. For you, $5, $5 for you. I said, okay, we have a deal. Kind of like buying tickets for the New Orleans Saints, or Tulane football games, or LSU football games. If you buy a ticket on Ticketmaster, you pay the price, or at their box office. But if you buy the ticket at Streetmaster, you can get a much better deal on Streetmaster. Of course, you have to hope the ticket scans, and they do usually. I usually buy my tickets on Streetmaster. All right, cash sales. I think this is, now you see, yesterday I was very shook up in that video because that taste challenge, because I thought, well, I'm still going to get it right, even though it's going to be tougher, because the VO and the Royal Canadian are in the same style, Canadian whiskeys, but made according to that kind of like American blended whiskeys style. But then when I was tasting them, you know, and smelling them, remember, I said, oh yeah, this is VO and this one is Royal Canadian, blah, blah, blah. And I was very strong in my opinion. I said, I got it. And then I was wrong. I had them mixed up. So I was shook up. Now they're both gold, deep gold. I think the VO gold is golder. It's more golden. Is this the VO gold? Yeah. So I better be careful about glancing, because that little touch of a shade difference might throw it off. You would think, right, if you're paying $23 a bottle, it's going to be a richer and fuller and more deluxe aromas and flavors than if you're paying $10 a bottle, right? So I mean, so it's $5 for the half size bottle, so you figure about 10 bucks. Well, I'm thinking about that was a negotiated price, so let's say maybe it's 12 bucks. Okay, so still $10 more a bottle, so you figure you're paying $10 more per bottle, depending on what kind of deal you swing. And you know, you figure it's going to be richer and better than one that's half the price, but you never know about those things. Yeah, I negotiated a rifle purchase once at Kmart. I remember that, $19.99. The rifle was like $120, I don't know, $140. 22 long with a scope and a tube-fed semi-automatic. And they said, oh, well, this is the only one we had, the display rifle. So it's got a scratch on the stock. Well, so the manager says, oh, how about if you buy it for $99? I said, deal, you got it. So, I mean, I didn't care about the little scratch. High velocity. It is, you know, the range is 1 mile on it. 1 mile. Okay, well, anyway. All right. Now I don't even know if you can buy rifles and handguns at Walmart and Kmart. You used to be able to buy. They used to have all these nice handguns on display. But with the more Soviet-style government we have, it's a lot harder to purchase weapons. I mean, I was talking about Street Master for tickets, so be surprised what a cold cash transaction can get you when it comes to various products. But anyway, without paperwork. But anyway, the hidden hand of the free market always trumps the government regulations, does it not? Oh, well, let's see if we can tell which is which. Okay. I was thinking about making some more free enterprise videos. A lot of people don't understand that concept, free enterprise. They'll sit there and talk about free enterprise, and I say, you're not talking about free enterprise. You're talking about some highly regulated capitalist regime, trade regime. But they don't understand the concept of free enterprise, so that's why you got to teach them. You got to explain it. I used to teach that in high school, free enterprise. That was the name of the class, free enterprise, except it really wasn't about free enterprise. It was about enterprise, yes, commerce, trade, government, regulations. They should have called it mercantilism or capitalism of the mercantile format, but not free enterprise. It's so silly. Okay, all right. That one is a strong alcohol burn. Sweetness, like a corn syrup, like you get the K-Row corn syrup type thing that people use in baking. Some flowers. Oh, is it Royal Canadian? I don't know. That one's tricky. Yeah, this one has the same thing. I mean, these Canadian blended whiskeys, they're generally corn-based. And then they have the barley and the rye of various ratios. But in Canada, there's a strict rule. They all have to be aged at least 3 years, the corn or the rye or the barley. They might be aged separately and then blended after. In the United States, that is not the rule. You could just distill it and start blending it. You could take corn, distill it. Don't even age it. They might blend it with aged bourbon, like 2-year aged bourbon, or even more. But it's just a different, but it's the same concept, really. Different formula, same concept. Base whiskey, which is mostly without much flavor or aroma, and then you get the flavors from the blended, the bourbon, and the Canadian whiskey has bourbon added to it many times, or the straight whiskey added. And then the Scotch is the same concept too, the blended Scotch. You got the base, that's the grain whiskey, and I believe it has to be aged with. There might be a 3-year requirement in Scotland, I believe. I was never really able to get a clear description on their government website. It was too garbled. But then they'll add the single malt Scotch to it. Maybe that's like 20%, and then that'll give it the flavor. But you could still kind of, like with that 100 Piper Scotch, you could pick up that, you could detect that base, that corn base. Almost even like a candy corn or a corn muffin. It was weird. It was corn something. Grits. Polenta. It was. John Anile was talking about that too. He said something is kind of odd, but not bad. It didn't come across bad. Just odd. Just used to drinking single malt Scotch. It's just something different. Okay. Wow. I called it a taste challenge. It's a challenge, let me tell you. There's dried flowers. There's honeysuckle. even perhaps honeycomb. This one's even sweeter, though. This one's more sweet and sugary. I always say that whiskey to me tastes like candy. Scotch be like smoky candy. Bourbon would be like charred candy with a lot of corn and wood. American blended whiskey be like candy, but bland candy. And the Canadian be very candy-like. Okay, blah, 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 blah. This is tough. I tell you what. And my daughter loved the VO Gold now. Watch that video. Oh, she said one of the best whiskeys I ever tried. I said, well, no. But see, she goes in, she's the best reviewer because she goes in cold. Doesn't do any research. Doesn't know the history of the companies. Doesn't know who bought out who. Doesn't care. She's totally indifferent to that. You know, the beer geeks are all like us. The beer geeks are all wrapped up in who owns what, and this one got bought out. You know, the general consumer could care less. You know, they see Van Camp's pork and beans. They're not sitting there saying, I'm not eating Van Camp's anymore. Oh, no, they sold out the ConAgra. That's a conglomerate. I'm not eating those Van Camp beans. I used to like them, but no more. No more. I protest. You know, people that go to the store, they don't do that. They just, how many of them even know that Heinz and Kraft was merged? They don't look at the list. Oh, Heinz Kraft. Oh, no. Okay. But we're in the beer, wine, and liquor hobbyist world, so we were really caught up in that. That's important to us. Well, I better taste it because it's got me throwed. It's got me throwed on the taste. Oh yeah, well, I was saying, my daughter said that we did the review of the Steel Reserve 211 Triple Export, the black label. She didn't know it could have been a craft beer as far as she was concerned. She said it was one of the best beers she ever tried. Well, now there you go. She didn't realize it. She didn't realize she was supposed to hate it. It's like people telling me, don't you know Corona Extra is horrible? I said, oh, yeah, that's right. I used to always enjoy it before I realized I was supposed to hate it. What was I thinking? Silly me. I see all these people drinking Corona all around. They seem to be enjoying it, but they're so mistaken, right? They're probably really miserable and hate it, even though they're just, you know, they seem to enjoy it. All right. Oh boy, this is gonna be a you know what. It's a lot of grain liquor, a lot of whiskey, a lot of, you know, whiskey burn, hooch, you know. Ugh. There's underlying wood, you know, like that toothpick wood without the char, really. Whoa. That must be Royal Canadian. Oh, wow. I got bit by the dog. Ouch. Dog bit me. Okay. Was that sip smooth? I guess if you think getting caught up in a thorn bush is smooth. This one's not too smooth either. Now, wait a minute. I thought the VO Gold was supposed to be so great. And I can't tell it apart from this obscure brand, which used to have national advertising for 10 minutes in 1972. Oh, excuse me. Never mind. That was Canadian Limited. I guess Royal Canadian never had anything. I couldn't find anything that scratch that. It's always been an off-brand lurking in the dark corners of America's cities. Well, just goes to show you. But anyway, I think this one over here has a little more sweetness and sugariness and like candy qualities. But really, they're not that different, you know. That's the good thing about a blind taste test, because you think you know, but then you don't know, because you can't tell them apart, because you don't know which is which. I guess if I was buying either one of these, I'd just be shopping price. And you know I'd be buying Royal Canadian. I'd be going right back to Ali and Sons. That's a weird place. Okay, so I'm going to call it. I think this is the Royal Canadian, and I think that's the VO Gold. And I'm entirely not confident in that. I have so little confidence in this. It's incredible. Well, VO Gold, you got discontinued maybe because you didn't live up to your 8-year. I don't know. It's really got me. Okay. So let's say Royal Canadian. I gotta stop doing these taste challenges. Why am I doing this to myself? Wow. This is the Seagram's VO Gold. Ooh, well, I guess I better get off the air now. I got a lot of thinking to do. Got a lot of things to work out in my head. Some viewers are going to say, oh, well, hell, Seagram's isn't that good anyway. That's just like run of the mill. Yeah, that's probably true. Still, it's supposed to be so fancy, you know, 8 years, but they almost write like an essay on the thing. Got to read a whole essay. Oh, 1911. I knew it was somewhere. I read that Seagram's was founded in 1911. The Seagram's VO says it on the bottle. Ever since its creation in 1911, VO has been renowned as Canada's finest. Whew. Wait a minute. Who says that VO is Canada's finest? Who is renowned? Have you ever heard anyone say that? Honestly, have you ever heard anyone say, oh, you know, Seagram's VO, that is Canada's finest? I've never heard that. But that's what they say on the label. But they don't give a source. Like, you know, who says that? Like you read on Wikipedia, you know, they'll say, fans commented that the album lacked energy. Talking about a rock album. But they'll have in quotes, who? Like they don't cite the source. Who said that? You know, where are you getting this information from? Oh, everybody knows that. No, that's not a source. That's why I used to get in conflicts with a guy that did beer reviews. He won't talk to me anymore, you know. But I was right when I was calling him out on that. He'd always say, make some statement, you know. And I'd say, well, where do you come by this information? And his source was, this is him citing a source. Everybody knows that. I said, that's not a source. But I learned that in college and in high school. You write papers. You can't just make some claim. You got to say, okay, well, I read this book. That's a secondary source, you know. But or look, Patton said it himself. Quote, Patton, July 15th, 1943. He said it. There's a quote directly from him. So that's citing a source, not just saying everybody knows that. Look it up. No, sorry. That's not good. That's bad academics. All right, but anyway, and right there on the label is an example of that. You know, renowned as Canada's finest. By whom? Oh, well, we're just, you know. Anyway, I'm not seeing that on this taste challenge. Canada's finest. Oh, good. Okay, and I couldn't even. And this is the 8-year version. This is like the jacked up version of it, you know, the really special gourmet version, but I couldn't tell it apart from the entirely obscure Royal Canadian. I don't know. That's not a good sign. I don't think it's a good sign. Well, anyway, we're going to take a break from Canadian whiskey for a while. Not too long, but a little while. And starting up next week. Oh, I mean this week, because, yeah, Sunday is the first day of the week. Starting up this week, Tuesday, that's the plan. We gonna do Scotch whiskey, blended Scotch whiskey, which to me is going to be fascinating, and I hope I do a better job telling them apart. But I don't blame myself when I get them wrong. I blame the companies for not making their stuff distinguishable enough. I'm gonna do get ready, Clan McGregor, and who doesn't like that? Clan McGregor against Buchanan's 12-year. Now, I mean, come on. Buchanan's 12-year is like 3 times the amount. No, it's 4 times as expensive. What am I talking about? Clan McGregor's $8.50 at Walmart. Buchanan's is like $34. So, hey, if I got to pay 4 times as much, you doggone better differentiate yourself from an $8.50 bottle of Clan McGregor now. But time will tell. Okay, thanks for watching this video production. And that is that.